All right, looks like we're streaming. So I haven't done this since COVID time. Um, I don't have a camera on myself. I've got two cameras going, obviously. What I'd like to do is I've kind of been letting my art stuff slip lately. I've been doing a lot of photography, but I haven't been doing much painting. And I'd like to start painting again. And so I've set a goal. I'd like to live stream at least an hour a day. We'll see how far it goes. I'm gonna say I want to live stream. Let's start with 30 days, and we'll see how we do. Um, let's set some small goals before we set some big goals. But definitely been letting my painting practice slip. We're going into winter time, so daylight savings time um, started a week or so ago. We're actually 2 weeks ago. We're on the 14th of November right now in 2025. And my name is Ken McIntosh. I streamed quite a bit during COVID, and and that was fun. But then once COVID quit, I found it kind of hard to stay in the house. To stay in the house if I didn't have to, and to isolate if I didn't have to. But we're going into winter time now, so I figured it'd be a good time to spin this back up again. It's Friday night, and I kind of found myself um, with some time on my hands tonight. It was raining. It's been raining for the last couple of days, and it's supposed to rain all weekend. So I figured I would spin this back up again. It's not too much new gear. I had to figure out how to do my streaming stuff again. I use Ecamm Live for my streaming, and um, I just kind of wanted to go simpler than before. So, like I said, I just got two cameras. I got one on my palette, and I got one on my painting, and it kind of includes my iPad, obviously, which is my reference image. And I'll just talk about my painting process as I'm setting up. Um, but I started this. This was from a reference image that I took from lovely Anna, is her name. I've been doing some photography lately, and sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. I'm not used to talking and painting. It's been a couple years, but got to start somewhere. But I started this before I work on her face some more. I want to get rid of this really white spot on the side, so let's get rid of that. Um, Thought I checked my paint beforehand, and they weren't. It wasn't too yucky. I want something just to cover this. Looks like that cold kind of top quadrant is it's kind of greenish brownish. Let's just get something in there to kill that white. So anyways, I've been taking some reference images for paintings, and if you know me, you know that getting those reference images kind of turned into a passion all in itself. Photography is what I'm talking about, and and like I said earlier, I've been doing more photography than actually painting. But right now, let's just kill that white. If you hear some strange sounds going on, that's my dog. Whenever she hears me talking and I'm at home by myself, she thinks it's her for some reason. Not to overwhelm you with everything at once, we'll go through my colors and some background stuff as we're painting. So Anna is a model that's so. If you don't know me, I've been hosting a meetup group called South Bay Art here in the Bay Area for probably getting close to 10 years, if not 10 years. I think the last time I looked, I've hosted about 700 art events, maybe 725. And the majority of those art events, or when I first started out, were plein air or outdoor oil painting. And looks like that goes about halfway up her chin. And again, I'm just trying to cover that black or cover that white. So let's make it an even number. Say I've been hosting for about 10 years, which is about right. I think I hit 10 years in September of hosting events on Meetup for painting, and so the majority of those events have been plein air, so outdoor oil painting, kind of landscape painting, I guess, typically, and about 2 or 3 years ago, I started getting into portraiture and hiring models. And basically, so in addition to the plein air painting, and we're primarily doing those on Saturdays, but in addition to the plein air painting, can you guys see that? Yeah, you can see that. In addition to the plein air painting, I started also hosting portrait painting out of the Triton Museum here in Santa Clara. And boy, there's such a bad glare. I don't want to be too fussy tonight since this is my first stream in a while. Why don't we just get through tonight and I'll try to fix that for the next video. But yeah, that is a pretty bad glare. Maybe I won't mix in the center. It looks like I could mix around here too. So I started hosting portrait painting, and then I started hosting figure drawing in the last couple of years. And but back to the portrait painting. It's really hard for a model to do anything but kind of keep a kind of a slack face, or just I guess the ladies call it resting bitch face, but it's kind of hard. I mean, try to smile for more than 10 seconds. You know how your face starts shaking when someone's trying to take your picture and they're fussing around with the camera and you're trying to hold a smile, but but your face starts shaking and your jaw starts shaking after, I say 10 seconds, but I bet for me, it's like 3 to 5 seconds. And so what I started doing is taking reference images. Well, my friends started complaining. They're like, dude, love it that you're painting. Love it that you got something, that you're super passionate about. But I have a question, and they would inevitably ask, not all my friends, but the friends that care, they would ask, why do your subjects look so unhappy? And if you look at like workshop paintings and painting from live paintings, most of those paintings, the subject doesn't really have any expression at all. And it's literally because they can't, because you're painting from a live model and they literally can't do much more than basically sit still. So I started taking reference images for painting, ultimately painting portraits from. That was the plan, and that's what I did, and that's what I'm doing here. But taking those reference images has turned into, its own thing. And gosh, I'm at least as passionate about photography now as I am about painting, which seems really weird because there for a while I was really into painting. I love painting, and I love Saturdays going out and painting with my meetup group, and I still look so forward to it. But in addition to that, I've really been passionate about painting. I'm sorry, passionate about portraiture. The colors are a little wonky. My colors are quite a bit grayer than what you see. Um, but like I said, for now I just want to cover that canvas. And then we can get back to her face. I started this last Saturday. It's Saturday today, or it's Friday night today. But I started this last Saturday and spent an hour on it, basically just doing the drawing and then starting on the. It's kind of an underpainting, I guess. So the goal for tonight is to go an hour. So we've been going a few minutes so far. I should probably check the time. So it's 7:20. Let's say it's 7:20 now. It's 7:26 now. We'll go to 8:20 at least, and that's the goal. Every day, I'm gonna live stream, and we'll see how it goes. Let's get a little more of that green up here. Definitely not going to be fussing with that, but my paints are kind of dry too, but it's fine. It's fine. So if you don't know me, I've been working at eBay I just crossed 25 years recently. So I work in tech. I'm an IT manager. We're going through a weird time right now with well, I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to. It's the weekend. I don't want to talk about work, but I've been working there about 25 years, and I love there. It's changed quite a bit in 25 years, obviously, but I still love it. So anyways, this is Anna, and she's one of the art models. That's what got me started talking about my background a little bit. But I met Anna through, I met her through a group of young ladies that work at Phil's in Los Gatos. And I'll tell you what, some of my favorite models I've gotten through kind of a friend of a friend. And sure enough, she was a friend of a model that just so happened to work at Phil's. And that model one night was like, "Hey, if you need any more models, let me know. I work with a bunch of young ladies that," she didn't say young ladies, but I work with a bunch of girls that I'm sure would be interested in. And Anna ended up being one of those young ladies. And the Phil's in Los Gatos, I probably hired 5 ladies from, and certainly one of my favorite models from there, Sydney. Sydney moved to Sacramento, so we haven't been able to work together. But my bestest painting in my house right now is one of Sydney, and she's one of the original Phil's girls. So I'm kind of stalling, kind of futzing around with this background. Probably time to work on the face a little bit. I didn't really finish it. So why don't we do that? Why don't we quit fussing around and get rid of this green? This green is what got me in trouble with the skin tones. And why the skin tones are so wonky. Because I had a little too much blue in my brush, and that really grayed with the skin tones, and I didn't really notice it until I was done. So let's try to wipe up much of this green up as we can. I don't have a trash can down here, but let's see. Right. So I'm simultaneously streaming and recording, and I forget how to pause. Not that I have to, but I'm Grab some paper towels. No problem. I've got one right here. So yeah, let's finish up kind of this area, the lips, and maybe work on the orbits of her eyes a little bit. Oh, let's see. Let's grab this brush. So I haven't done this in a while, but let's go through my colors. So I'm mostly, this is my studio paint brushes, and it's kind of a mix of all the stuff that haven't been stolen from my plein air kit. But today is mostly going to be filberts. I use a lot of flats for my brushes. I've got a bunch up here. I have a lot of this size flats that I use. When I started out, I went with kind of these long ones that are traditional oil paint brushes, but since I paint outdoors so much and I want my kit to be small, I kind of been going with these short ones. And this one, I took a nice long handle and I chopped it off. But let's go through my colors real quick for anybody that wants to paint along. In the future, I'll give you guys some notice and post my reference image for anybody that wants to paint along. And I'll go through my colors. I'll try to do it quicker next time, but I'm out of practice. But I have somewhat of a limited palette. Pretty much a couple of yellows, a couple of reds, a couple of blues, and some convenience colors like orange, and then transparent red oxide. But let me start from the left. So titanium white for portraiture. It's a little strong, but I have so much of it from plein air painting that I'm lazy and I've just been squeezing out titanium white. Cad yellow, a raw umber or golden umber is actually what I use. It's a yellow, so 2 yellows. Cad orange, I've been using cad orange. It's a convenience color. I was taking painting lessons or a mentorship with David Gray, and he uses a lot of cad orange for his highlights instead of just white. He'll mix in a little bit of cad orange, and then I just like it sometimes for skin tones. Kind of the top of most people's heads are a little orangey, so I'll get back to that in a second. But then I've got 2 reds. I've got a cad red light, and then I've got a alizarin crimson. This is alizarin crimson permanent, I believe, and then transparent red oxide. Most portrait painters use a transparent red oxide or transparent yellow oxide. Most of the ones that I know are transparent red oxide, and then transparent red oxide with well, let me go through it first. Viridian is just a common green. It's kind of expensive. It's kind of powerful, but I don't usually have a green on my palette, but I've been using it actually to desaturate my skin tones. And then I use it. It's not so green right now in the Bay Area, but I also use it a lot for my for plein air painting. It's a convenient color. Cerulean blue. It's pretty cool for skies. I use it more for I'll demo a plein air painting at some point or whatever. But I use it for kind of a lighter blue in my skies, and then also to desaturate skin tones. And then this one is kind of mucky right now. It's got a lot of white in it, but this is actually a French ultramarine blue. And I don't have a black on my palette, but the transparent red oxide and the French ultramarine blue get really dark, so I really don't need a black. Black doesn't really occur in nature, so it's really for portraiture. You kind of want to stay away from getting too black. There's definitely some dark values in her hair that I'll get pretty close to black. You know, kind of up in this area. If you look at my iPad, you know that's pretty close to black. Pupils of the eyes is pretty close to black, but there's not a lot in portraiture. There's not a lot of black. There's even less in nature, you know, for like landscape painting. So I keep it off my palette because black really desaturates your colors, and it really it desaturates your colors and it really pollutes your colors. And you can really see like a lot of beginning portrait artists have really kind of dark charcoaly kind of skin tones, and it's kind of hard once you. It's kind of it's kind of a mess. So let's see. My basic skin tone is start with some white because I'm going to do kind of above her lip and around her nose, kind of in this area that's unfinished. But we'll start with white. Use that transparent red oxide. Just a touch of the Cad Red light. And then what I should have done and what I should still do is get a little bit of oil on my I'm not quite oiling it out, but just because it's been a week since I painted on this. So let's get some oil on there just to, I'm just going to hit the spots that I plan on painting tonight. So we'll finish this area around the lips, around the nose, maybe around the eyes, maybe fix some of those skin tones tonight. Sorry about sticking my head in the camera. And then my medium, so this is my medium. It's my dog walking through, but it's about a third linseed oil. It's actually walnut oil. It's a third walnut oil and about 2/3 of Gamsol. And then this is my Gamsol. All right, let's see. I'm gonna start with a pretty wide brush, one of these flats. Let's keep going with the one that I just mixed the paint with, actually. So that's a little bit white, too cool for me. So let's get some red in there. Get a little yellow in there. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking, but this painting is a mess. I'm also sitting in a different spot. My light is the same, but I moved all my stuff downstairs. I started wearing a glove on my paper towel hand just because when I clean my brushes, I feel kind of, even after 10 years of not wearing a glove, I started feeling kind of yucky and trying to be a little more healthy. So this hand never gets any paint on it, but this hand gets a ton of paint on it. See what you can see. Yeah, I really need to turn that down, the brightness. You guys, it looks like I'm just painting 2 light bulbs, but this is my first stream, so let's get through it. A year from now, when I'm on my 365th stream, we'll have it figured out. Let me see if I turn that light down. Maybe that'll help. Maybe a little bit. No, I can't see. Yeah, we'll have to figure that out. I'm gonna turn it back up a little bit so I can see. So yeah, you can't see my pile either. Darken it up a little bit. Redden it up a little bit. Yeah, I'm kind of purpley here. I'm also not doing the stuff. I'm not working on the things that I said I was going to, just because these are so out of whack. Let's try to fix some of that first. Try not to be too precious. This brush is kind of small, but really just trying to get the color somewhat close. Trying to get the values. I'm thinking about the values. Kind of fixing the drawing as I go. I'm not really in any place yet to where the drawing is too far off, but if I've got some paint on my brush that looks like it could go another spot on the painting, try to be efficient. Again, this phase I'm really just trying to cover the canvas, or I'm using a panel, but cover the panel. Yeah, you guys can't see that at all. I'm sorry. Probably a little too dark. I'm mixing transparent red with that French ultramarine blue. Try not to get too cool, but see if we can clean up this area here. I think I want it a little bit warmer. I have alizarin crimson, which is kind of a little bit closer to the red, but I'm trying to be, um, I'm trying to mix as few colors as possible. Kind of trying to keep it that limited palette. So I'm trying to stick at this phase. I'm trying to stick with white, cad red light, transparent red oxide, and then French ultramarine blue. And at this phase, I'm trying not to use anything but those colors. And you'll see my pile of paint is kind of a gradient. So the top part you can see is getting pretty dark. I'm still trying to keep it pretty warm, so it's really kind of a reddish brown. I'll be showing that blue on the palette or on the portrait, but we'll go with that for now. My dog is extremely bored. She's right, we should be out doing something. It's kind of dark and rainy right now. And I want to paint. Work on this nose a little bit. Thank you for joining if you don't know me. It's coming off pretty cool to me, but Let's see. Right, corner of the mouth. Fix that line a little bit. I kind of want to go darker. I know I'm supposed to be fixing stuff, but getting those values down kind of help you to judge the values in the other colors. Oops. That's painting. Just gonna keep fixing stuff. This paint is a week old, so I don't usually use my medium at this stage, but getting a little medium in there just so that the consistency of the paint was kind of like hard butter. So I'm making it a little more like I guess runny syrup. I got breakfast on the brain. I must be hungry. All right. Let's see. Since I got that dark on there, let's get some dark in her eyes. I'm kind of, it looks like I'm blending, but what I'm kind of doing is knocking down the paint a little bit. Because I'm terrible about measuring. I should be measuring, but I'm not. And in a day or so, or the next time I look at this painting, I guess tomorrow, if I'm painting every day, tomorrow when I look at this and I realize how off my drawing is, it's hard to paint over the ridges that so I try to knock them down as I go. So let's see, let's work on those lips a little bit. I get a brush here that I think would be fine. We'll get started on it. This is actually a boar's hairbrush. Or hog hair. Bristle brush. I don't know. Let's try it. So that red is too red, but now let's get some alizarin crimson on there. You guys can barely see it. Maybe tomorrow I will prop this up. I'll move that glare up a little bit. Let's get some blue in there to knock it down. When I say knock it down, I mean desaturate it. So make it not so powerful. And then let's just get some on there. Definitely pinker. Well, that looks terrible. If that's painting, we're definitely in the ugly stage. Again, just trying to take advantage of having a little bit of that color on my brush. If you can't see, I'm basically, if I stop talking or if I'm not using my brush, I'm basically wiping the paint out of my brush. So if I squint, this is quite a bit darker all through here. I have to squeeze out some more paint. Supposed to be working on the lips. Didn't need to do that. Let's see if we can finish this area around the nose. So I've got two brushes. I've usually got a couple brushes going. And what I'll do is I'll lay them in the pile that I'm using them in. So let's work on this area a little bit. So a little golden ochre, a little more cad red light. Let's take a look at that. That's not light enough. So let's move it down a little bit. Not light enough, and too red. Let's do that same color for the top too. Definitely need to. So this line here, let me bring it up. So I was looking at my laptop. I didn't have that many followers during COVID when I was live streaming before, but it'll be fun when people are following along, even if they pop on just for a second or two and drop off. I do miss that. I think if I was a painter or an artist and I was a little self-conscious about painting in public, whether it's at a workshop or like a meetup, or drawing from life is typically in a public setting, with other artists. I hear it often that, so I got this meetup group, and sometimes artists will show up and they'll introduce themselves and they'll say, I've been following your group for years, and this is the first time I've gotten brave enough to come out and actually join you guys. And I get it. Because painting is one of those things where very few artists kind of start out with a beautiful looking painting right out of the gate. Most of us, our paintings spend a lot of time in you'll hear me say it a lot, in the ugly stage. And I never thought about it too much. I guess I did think about it, like when I was doing outdoor painting. But you really think about it when you first start hosting or attending painting from life or drawing from life, because usually if there's a live model, you paint for 20 minutes and then you give the model a 5-minute break, and then you paint for 20 minutes. And that first hour or even a couple of hours, that as soon as that timer goes off, that model is going to come down and judge your painting. They never do, or they say they never do, but it's kind of hard not to. And that's a kind of a vulnerable spot. We're all kind of insecure about something, and I've always kind of likened painting in public as, similar to like if you're trying to learn to play piano outside, in a park, or if you're learning how to sing, or if you're going to open up your journal and start reading it aloud in front of a bunch of people. I know how vulnerable that would be. Painting is kind of the same way. But where I was going with this is, I think if I was to recommend a way to, outside of just jumping in and doing it, if I was to recommend a way to get into oops, 1 second, my dog's doing gross stuff. If I was to recommend a way to get into painting in public, or painting in public settings like life drawings, I think live streaming like this is a pretty safe way to do it. You could practice a little bit and not stream live. Just record what you're doing, and then you could decide if you want to share it or not, or you could just stream live. And then I remember during COVID when I was doing this, you'll be streaming, and then one day you'll look down and, holy cow, I've got a viewer. And I think at one point, at the height of my painting, or streaming my painting, I think I probably had about 30 viewers at one point. I think I got like, in my other account, I think I got 50 or 60 members. But what I'm doing now is if I'm gonna darken that hair, I'm gonna get a bigger, wider brush. Just to get those values a little closer. Whoops. Starting to look a little better. It's definitely looking a lot better than when I started. Alright, I gotta squeeze out some more paint. Let's see what I got here. I think I got all the colors I need. I got some white. I don't need any white now. But I got some transparent red oxide. Gotta get some more of that out here. Alright, put that up here. I need some more blue, dark blue, French ultramarine blue. I'm gonna clean that up first. Should have cleaned up. That. All right. Oh yeah, gotta squeeze them out. Squeeze out lots of paint. If you don't squeeze it out, you can't use it. All right. We don't have a trash can up here yet. So make a little pile there. Alright, so we were just going to darken that hair up a little bit. So when we start tomorrow, our values are a little better. I'll do some measuring tomorrow before I start the stream too, to see how off my drawing is. I'm looking at my display. maybe let's get some, shouldn't be messing with the eyes, but let's get some, those eyes are so white. Yeah, let's try it. Let's see what brushes I have up here. Yeah, let's do that one. So the whites of the eyes are rarely white. They're usually pink or gray. These eyes, in the picture, can you see the picture? They look very white, but we're not going to make them that white. And this is a case of just getting something on the canvas so that I can measure and fix it. I was at this workshop and the guy running the workshop, and I was always like when I first started painting, I was always afraid to screw it up because painting is kind of, oil painting is that way. Every brush stroke you lay down, you kind of destroy what you're laying the brush stroke on top of. And that's a whole lot of losing and finding your drawing. And so I used to spend a lot of time just staring at the canvas and painting really light. And this guy I was taking the workshop from was like, if you don't put any paint on the canvas, I can't help you fix it. And I didn't get what he meant at the time, but I get it now. Oil painting is totally a process of screwing your painting up and fixing it, screwing it up and fixing it. The nice thing about oil paint is if you screw it up, you could either, if you catch it early, you just wipe it off, and if you don't catch it early enough, you just paint over the top of it. And you can just keep doing that and keep doing that until you run out of things to fix. And those are obviously too white. Don't beat me up. I know if I was streaming this live, you guys would be all over me. I know it. But like I said, you can't fix it till you put it down. And I'm also doing something that you're not supposed to do, which is fuss with the eyes. But I can't help myself. It's my painting. My dog is getting pretty antsy. She's been fed. He went for a little walk before I started. Yeah, definitely got to fix all that glare. I think if I do this during the day, it'll be better, because right now my place is pretty dark. And if I do it during the day, I won't need this crazy light. All right, what we got here. right, let's see here. Lots to fix. So we could do around here. I took painting lessons from this guy, and he would say painting is just moving paint around, and that's really all I'm doing is I'm just moving the paint around. Trying to fix some of these edges. Hey Izzy, hey good girl. You jealous that I'm talking to somebody that isn't you? Yep, you sure are. Casey Bow is that artist's name. I miss Casey Bow. I don't think he's painting anymore. I think he's doing more videography and stuff these days. But Google Casey Bow and check out his art. He's pretty incredible. He does portraits, but they're life size. They're bigger than life. Let me back up a little bit. They're actually bigger than life. And he's quirky, but man, he is one hell of an artist. And I really do like him. Oh, that is so bright. I'm so sorry. Let's see if I turn this down. The only problem is I can't see when I turn it down like that. That's not good. And let me see if I turn the brightness down on my iPad. Yeah, probably not good for the painting to be that. I don't know why my dog is being so weird. You're okay, Boo Boo. Just don't knock over my camera. Let's work on that over that eye a little bit. I'm gonna have to darken that whole section. You'll see, but you basically darken this whole section, and then you take the lighter color and then you go right into that light area. We'll do that tomorrow. I don't want to do it until I measure a little bit. Let's see what we could do about this little section. Yeah, I'm gonna have to measure that tomorrow. There's a line that kind of goes like this. It's probably a little too dark. Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure that out. She's a cutie. That's all I know. Anna's a sweetheart too. Anna turned me on to a bunch of models for photography, and we did a country themed, basically a series of country shoots with Anna and 5 of her friends, and we made my first photo book. I'll talk about that more at some point. So I'm also going to share. So when I say I'm going to do art every day for an hour, it might not always be painting. It may also be photography related. And I think something that I'm going to share is I made a photo book from all those country shoots that we did. And I think what I'm going to do is kind of go through it with you guys. Let's see here. Brush has got a lot of solvent on it. But this is a line here that was from last week that I should scrape off because it's not quite right. But I should have knocked that down last week. Because now it's too dark. Look how white that is. Yeah, I'm going to have to measure that quite a bit more. All right. So we are actually over the hour mark, and my dog is about to do something gross. I can see it on her face. So why don't we end the stream here? Thanks for watching my video, and I will see you again tomorrow. We'll pick up where we left off after a little bit of measuring. All right, folks. Have a good night.